Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com.
I'm Bob, how's it going?
Bob and I are doing a really fun test right now. We are both on 177 Head Supershape rally skis. One of us has a PRD 12, the other has a Protector 13.
Yeah.
It's been really interesting.
It's been pretty interesting.
So I think this is one of the most fun tests we've done in a while because we're really like eliminating variables.
Yeah.
Same ski.
Yep.
Same, it's like the same exact platform here, and you're really getting to feel the difference in the binding.
Yeah, like out of the plastic onto the snow.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. So I think what we'll do in this video is we're going to take a couple more runs. We'll meet you back in the studio. The first half of the video will be a Supershape rally review. The second half of the video, we'll kind of consider that more of a Protector 13 video.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really fun. These Supershapes are great. People have been asking us to test these for years, and like we've had them in our ski test, we've skied them a bunch, and I don't really have a good answer of why we haven't done like a long form review video.
Especially with kind of our growing love for this mid
carving.
to upper 76 carving ski category.
78.
Yeah. It's a good spot to be.
Yeah, no, super fun. Reminds me a lot of last year when we did that Thunderbird R15 wide body review, and I think it's worth bringing up some similarities and differences between those skis when we get to that.
For sure.
So we're gonna keep skiing, meet you back in the studio in just a little bit, and chat more about all the things on our feet right now.
Yeah.
Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio. This was really fun.
Each time we do a carving ski or frontside ski, it just gets more and more fun.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I just thought this was a really fun experience, and hopefully we have some interesting things to share with you guys. We logged a lot of miles on these skis.
Yeah, definitely.
It was fun.
Yep.
Partly thanks to that new lift at Stowe.
Well, the new lift and just like what seems like perpetual early season conditions here in Vermont.
Totally.
You know, if we were out west in Alta, we'd be telling a different story.
Yeah, you just can't test carving skis.
Right.
Well, right now here in Vermont, we can't really test powder skis.
Right.
Which I suppose if I was to make a trade, I'd probably trade for the powder skis. But these things are a lot of fun. It's just very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I always come back to like the idea that it's really good to spend a lot of time on skis like this early season because they make your legs work.
Right.
Not that powder skiing doesn't make your legs work, but I don't know, like good. Fires up those turning muscle groups.
Yeah, and we're, like 30 plus days into the season so far this year?
You might be 30 plus. I think I'm 29.
I guess I meant like the whole
sure.
operational year so far. Like,
yes.
You know, I would say almost 100% of the days.
That you could ski these.
This would have been the best choice in many people's quivers.
Yeah.
So.
Say we've had 36 days so far. I'd say 33 of those.
Yeah.
Perfectly appropriate ski.
Yep.
So we mentioned it in the intro, but I think we're going to split this review into two sections. I'll leave timestamps like I always do so you can skip around to the parts that you're interested in. But starting with this ski, this is the first time that we've ever done a long-form Head Supershape review, and I said it in the intro, I'm pretty sure, but it feels kind of crazy that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about these skis.
Something so kind of benchmarky from Head, you know, a company that like all you see in World Cup is head skiing.
Yep. Extremely established in this category. So before we get into performance, Bob, do you want to give us just a quick synopsis of construction?
Yeah, they are using kind of their World Cup sandwich construction. So full wood core in this thing, 2 sheets of metal. In their graphics, it looks like they're using the same damping layers that they use in the core skis. So like 2 thin strips on the side and then 1 on the top. So that really makes these things pretty quiet and stable. Fiberglass as well, top and bottom. And then their energy management circuit, which I literally copied and pasted Head's website information because it's just one of those things that's kind of beyond my understanding of physics. So
it's like a piece of technology that like I don't have the engineering background to even begin to really understand how it works.
Yeah.
I understand its benefit.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't want to like try and explain technology that I don't really understand fully.
Right. Either way,
what they're saying, does something.
It certainly does something. Energy management circuit. Basically, what I gather is that there's 2 areas, front and back of the bindings, where there's a circuit that absorbs energy. So like the motion that you're putting into it gets absorbed and then basically filtered back out.
Yep.
Kind of like a radiator, I guess.
Sure.
It like absorbs the unwanted vibrations.
Yep.
And we kind of joked about
and then dissipates them.
The Happy Gilmore scene with Kevin Nealon, who's telling Happy to harness the good energy and block the bad.
Harness good, block bad.
I just can't get that out of my head whenever talking about this EMC circuit.
You really think Head should lean on that?
I'm surprised that Kevin Nealon isn't their spokesperson on their website, but that's how I think about it, is that it's blocking out unwanted vibrations.
Yes.
And as we've talked about recently with other skis, there seems to be a certain thing in the construction that gives the ski its signature attribute, whether it's carbon tubes in the ripsticks that we just did, the curved carbon of the head core, the edge amplifier of the QST, the rubber dust of the Montero.
Yep, they all seem to have this standout feature.
Yeah, and we're like, wow, I wonder what makes this Stokely so smooth.
It's like, oh right,
it's the rubber dust. Yeah. And if you're wondering what makes this so stable, it's the energy management circuit.
Yep.
So that's the thing that makes this ski really damp and stable and strong.
Yep. So
pretty interesting from a construction standpoint. We don't normally see skis with this level of technology put into it. So
yeah, and I suppose I'd like add in there that like those 2 sheets of metal are helping too.
2 sheets of metal.
But you can ski it back to back with another ski with 2 sheets of metal, and there is something about this that's very, very quiet.
Yeah. And then we see that metal through the tail as well. So just another kind of nod to that blocky and heavy, strong finish to the turn that I think you and I both really enjoyed.
No, and now that you flipped it over, I think that's a pretty good time to transition to shape here. I feel like I've used the term modern freeride shape before, and I feel like this is a modern frontside carving shape.
Yeah.
We get full extended side cut. I think that's one of the most noticeable things of this ski, and especially like when you are sitting on a chairlift and looking at it, it almost looks like the tip like juts out more because the tip is bent so abruptly.
Right.
It's not really, but like visually it sometimes looks like that. So extreme extended side cut, but there is this, I don't know, what do you think we got there? Like 20 centimeters of tip rocker?
If that.
15 centimeters of tip rocker.
I noticed it the most when it was on your car rack this morning. So
yeah, the rocker test.
The rocker test on the car rack.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there is some tip rocker in that thing.
Yeah, the more you decamber it, the more it kind of bumps up. But there's definitely a tip rocker there. But in the tail, there's no rocker back there really. There's a little bit of a curve to it, but I wouldn't call that tail rocker by any means. And like you just showed, a very flat, squared off finish to the tail. So it really loves to finish a turn with a lot of power and precision. This 177 has a 15.3 meter turn radius. I believe the 170 drops down to a 14 meter radius, which I would probably venture a guess that the 170 would end up being the most popular size for these skis. But even in this 177, I thought 15.3 was a lot of fun. And we've had conversations before. It feels like a similar conversation to that Thunderbird R15 wide body, R15, got a very similar turn radius. This feels like a great place to be for just an enjoyable frontside ski.
And for skiers that are kind of getting out of the rolling from edge to edge to really starting to
Drive
the ski and put your energy into it.
Yeah.
Because you can do both on these.
Yep.
You know, it's not like it's really pigeonholed into this thing must be driven.
Yep.
Or it only can be rolled side to side.
Yep.
There's definitely, you know, when we
some
talk about
adaptability to it.
when we talk about versatility with a frontside ski, we're talking about what different types of carved turns it makes.
Yep.
Versus how it performs in different areas.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. And I agree with you. And I suppose now we're into performance. Do you think it's fair to say that they prefer to be driven?
I had two like kind of extreme experiences. One where I just wanted to roll, and the ski was happy not being driven.
And when you do that, sorry to cut you off.
It's fine.
But when you do that, I felt like the ski felt like it had a bigger radius.
It did, yeah. And you could keep to that.
Yep.
And then the other extreme I had, I was waiting for you. I did a run without you one morning.
Oh boy.
And
sorry to keep you waiting.
I wasn't waiting. I was going fast. But I wanted to see the opposite. What happens when you don't take these things side to side? When you don't go 15.3? What happens when you go
Even
35? Yeah, try to make
a huge turn.
a huge turn. And basically ride it flat, shallower edge angles.
Yep.
And
just let it run.
Let it run, let it go fast, and that was pretty good.
Yep.
Like I was expecting more hooky or grabbiness, and I didn't get it. And I was pleased with that performance.
No, I think that's something, I think that's an important thing to bring up about these skis. And I think it could be, like, it depends on the skier whether that's a benefit for you or not.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of these situations, like, and I'm thinking back to that Thunderbird again, because I feel like that didn't allow for those bigger turns as much, and it was more like promoting a shorter to middle turn radius, which for a lot of skiers is great because you're like, it's like giving you, it's like encouraging you to make a really dynamic turn.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of like not new to carving, but if you're, if it's not super easy for you to achieve that on like a GS ski or something, it's kind of nice having that ability or having the ski promote a shorter turn.
Yeah.
On these, I felt like you needed to do it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool. The way that these sit in the catalog and in the ski world in general, it's not really designed to be like a user-friendly ski in the sense that it helps you progress.
Right.
It feels much more to me like a ski that, like, once you're there, then you can get on this and use it as a tool. But if you don't have that existing ability to do so, you might not like it.
Right, so they're trying to, like Head specifically, they're trying to get you to go Shape V8 or whatever that Shape series ski. Right. Once you get that, then move to here. I totally get what you're saying about the progression, and this isn't the ski to
learn
start
on.
Here to get here.
Right.
And you can certainly access a different level of performance out of this based on your skiing history.
100%. Yeah. And like I felt it.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things where like I really felt like I needed to be skiing well, feeling strong, like having the right body position and weighting. And when I did, like those moments where it all clicked and all came together, I was like, damn, this thing is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Like this is so good. Like you can really trust it at a high edge angle. You can pretty much ski it like a race ski.
Yeah.
And it likes that. Like if you are an ex-ski racer and you've skied in GS courses and stuff like that, or slalom courses, like get right on here and make this thing absolutely sing.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
No, I definitely felt like I was the limitation.
100%.
Like, my skill set with something that's pretty stiff.
Right.
This thing definitely
especially in the tail
is all there.
Yeah.
And being able to access that side cut with that stiffness is
Right.
is a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun challenge.
Yep.
And I think it's like something that I think a lot of skiers enjoy. Like you see a lot of ski instructors on these skis.
Totally.
Which like makes a lot of sense because skiers like that spend so much time just honing in their technique. And then once you have that technique and you know how to weight and pressure a ski, then all of a sudden, the ski just becomes amazing.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense that you see ski instructors on it. Kind of countering myself there, the one thing I was thinking of, especially like in reference to a ski instructor, is like I don't know that I would want to ski it if I was ski instructing, because when I ski this thing, all I want to do is carve.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would leave you would leave your group in the dust.
Yeah. Just be like, all right, see you guys.
See you at the bottom.
Yeah. Do this. Good luck.
Right.
So I guess what I'm thinking is I personally find it doesn't complain, but it doesn't love making like shorter skidded turns. It'll do it if you need to, if you happen to be in like a sketchy situation and you need to slow down, or like we've been dealing with pretty high skier traffic, and in those situations sometimes you got to just like make little wiggle turns on the side of the trail just to get by people. It will do it, but it doesn't love doing that.
No, and we really I think we both really felt that, excuse me, from here back.
100%.
From here to here.
Yeah.
Just this part of the side cut of the
Stiff.
ski, stiff and just really curved.
Yeah.
So being able to really jam on that, we were just watching the slalom race in your office, just before coming in here, and saw one of the racers really kind of get on her tails and still was able to make that carve out of the tails.
Right.
It's not something I would want to do.
No, exactly.
And like, especially on something like this when you have to do it.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I think that's a bad situation.
But high end carving, it works great. I also love that you could kind of get it to make pretty cool turns on even flatter terrain.
Yep.
But again, you had to be really engaged as the skier and like kind of like bounce out of a turn and like really get that kind of rhythmic carving feel.
It's like our lower north slope test. If you can,
Right,
if
exactly.
a ski can be fun on that nice flat wide pitch, then that's a nice merit to have.
It passed that test for sure, but it required me to be more active and engaged than on other skis where we've said similar things, to the point where like these get tiring.
Right.
Like especially on flatter terrain like that, because you're like working hard to get the ski to work, but it does, and it's fun.
And like the standard limitations apply. Like, I'm not skiing this with my kids through the woods.
Right.
Like, not a great option for that.
Right.
Like we said with softer snow and powder, like it's 78 millimeters underfoot. So at one point this would have been the widest ski ever made, but
it's still like the rest of the properties about it don't really match up to like skiing it off piste.
No, certainly way more at home on groomed terrain. And 100%. I think that wider platform, that we noticed with that Thunderbird too, it's just a nice thing to balance on. It doesn't require, you can get this same ski. I think the original is 66.
66 or 68,
The
narrow.
speed is 68.
So the original must be 66.
Yeah, so you can go 12 millimeters narrower underfoot than this.
Right.
And that just, that makes me uneasy.
Right.
Underfoot.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true for most skiers.
Yeah.
Just a little bit less twitchy.
Yeah.
Which I think just gives you as a skier a little bit more confidence to kind of push on it and push on it and push on it.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add before we talk bindings here?
Not really. Just was impressed when we got on it last year, and equal feelings this year.
Yep.
Yeah, really awesome ski.
So, we were lucky to have this scenario. I always love when we get situations like this. Doesn't happen that often, but it sure is fun. Yeah. So over here we have a PRD 12 on this ski, and that ski has the new Protector 13. And I suppose before we start, this is a great binding.
It's been serviceable, predictable, high performance for years. On a number of different skis, Elan Wingman, Fisher RC1. I've been
skiing this thing for years.
Yeah, thing's great.
It has passed the test of time.
Yep.
There's one like over there in the corner that came off a Fisher. They're all over the place.
Right.
Like you see this binding everywhere. and I don't have anything like particularly bad to say about it. Power rail system works great. I guess from a user-friendly perspective, it's really easy to adjust.
Yep.
Easier than some. And yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about this. Now, Tyrolia was really excited to announce this new protector binding. We skied it a little bit last year. We don't have a ton of them in stock, but I think it's something that we're going to have a lot more of in the future,
Yeah.
because this is starting to pass, not the same length of test of time, but similar situation where I'm starting to really trust this binding, really understand its benefit, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on here.
Yeah, and Tyrolia has done a great job. Like they're starting at the recreation level with this binding. So
Right, and starting in front side too, which I
Yep.
think is cool.
like offered on all the shape skis and stuff like that. So
Right.
like basically anything to make the sport safer for people
Yeah,
is
sign me
great.
up.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to take one of these.
You got the one that's turned up, I think.
That's fine.
Okay.
So the big story here is the heel piece.
Yeah, the toe's the same.
Yep.
So it's like almost the same system.
Well, and it's the same track too.
Same track,
I think that's
same
important
toe.
to point out. So
Yep.
like if you own a ski already that has a power rail system, in theory, you can buy a protector
Right.
and like upgrade your bindings if you want a safer binding. But this heel piece is designed, I can't remember what Tyrolia said, reduce ACL injuries by 50%?
Again, I kind of, similar to the EMC,
Deferred to theirs.
I deferred to their literature, and if I can remember correctly, it said in forward and rearward twisting falls, it reduces ACL strain by 50%.
Okay.
So that has to do with like the elasticity and the movement of the heel piece.
Yep. So really cool. It's got full 180-degree vertical release out of the heel, which is basically something that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
The way that it works is awesome. I don't know if you're going to be able to show, Bob. It's pretty tough. We turned the din all the way down there.
And it's still tight.
It's still tight. But essentially what happens here is the whole heel piece moves laterally side to side. I think
I can get it a little bit.
I think we have 7 millimeters of movement in each direction.
Yep.
And then once it reaches the maximum threshold of that lateral elasticity, that's when this whole piece also pivots.
Yep.
So you can think of it a little bit like a pivot, but the big difference here is that lateral movement.
Yeah.
Just never seen anything like that before.
No, and it's the whole thing too. And like, we can bring up knee binding without knowing a whole lot about it, but like
They're right up there.
Yeah, they're right in town.
I've skied them a bunch.
They use like an AFD, a sliding AFD for the heel, whereas this whole heel piece is the device.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different kind of build in that regard. And then like you said, when that heel twists,
Right.
it's like I kind of wrote it like there's a turntable binding on top of
Yes.
an AFD.
Yes. I think that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how my mind works too, to conceptualize that.
But very interesting how it slides out or in, so both ways, bi-directional,
Yep.
and then that part twists
Yep.
and pops you out that way.
Yep.
So pretty cool. You gotta watch your fingers. I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah, Bob
Don't put
squished
your
his
fingers
finger a
in
little
there.
bit. Always a learning experience with a new binding system.
I
don't know
will
where to
never
put
do it
your-
again.
You don't know where to put your fingers and where not to. But anyways, so when this binding was announced, safety was really the forefront of the conversation. Like, this binding's safe. It's going to reduce knee injuries. I think Tyrolia is pretty confidently saying that it's the safest binding they've ever made.
Yep.
So I think anytime you see a statement like that, I think that carries a lot of weight.
Yep.
So my initial reaction to this binding was along the lines of, cool, it's safer, what's the sacrifice? Like,
Right.
I'm always just like digging for like, what's the downside? And it's a little bit counterintuitive for me at least, and pretty interesting because, at least in our testing, it feels like a benefit in performance.
On this ski,
Yeah.
on like a front side ski, we saw it's 190 gram difference
For weight.
For PRD heel to Protector heel.
Yep, so a little heavier.
A little heavier, and I was expecting it, like you, to be like clunky.
Yeah, right. Like you'd feel something. You'd be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, but.
Yeah. And I think that extra weight and just I don't know, just a different like angle of heel attack on this thing just kind of made it, I don't want to say ski smoother, but I think we both noticed a slight difference, whether it was the weight or...
I think it skied smoother.
All right.
I think it's the elasticity.
Yep.
I think it's the same reason or a similar reason why we've had such profound thoughts or such strong opinions about pivots.
Right.
And like, say that like they can make a ski feel smoother. I think the way that your boot is interacting with the ski, there's less jarring forces involved.
Yeah.
It's less like, there's a little bit of movement to it. It's allowing for everything to feel a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
Whether I'm right or not, I don't know, like with the functionality of the binding, but it feels that way. And I think like there's a lot to that. If it feels better, then that's the ultimate test is how it feels.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. I mean, we did them back to back.
Back to back.
You know, because same size skis, so we have right out of the plastic. It was about as controlled of an experiment as we do.
Right.
And that was really interesting because we both kind of came to that same conclusion that, oh, this thing feels a little bit smoother.
Yeah. I mean, I skied the same terrain on that ski with the PRD, and then immediately after on this ski, and I did feel like this, like even like held an edge a tiny bit better.
Yeah.
So it's pretty darn interesting. So I don't know, I just took that as like a nice reassurance of like, if you're considering this binding, don't expect any sacrifice for performance. If anything, I think it's gonna feel better if you're coming off a PRD.
No, and I think we both had that, I think we had that reaction initially.
Right.
When we put these together and we were both kind of like, I'd rather ski that one.
Yeah.
And then we got out there and both took a whack at this thing and we're like,
pretty immediately we were both like, can I have the Protector ski back?
I think I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So I mean, we both it was pretty interesting that we both had that similar experience.
Yep. They are like, it is a premium product.
Yep.
With a premium price tag. You know, you're going to pay for it. I think the Attack version with the Attack toe is like $500, which could be MSRP.
Yeah.
Forgive me for not knowing exactly what that is, but we're definitely in a different price tier than a PRD here.
Yeah.
Which, it makes sense. As soon as you have this thing in your hand and look at the functionality of that heel piece, it's pretty darn obvious why it's more expensive.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on right here. Just a ton of technology.
Yeah, but it's cool they made it, same stand height, same everything. And just, it's a pretty seamless transition from PRD to Protector, I think.
Right.
And it's just it's a great upgrade.
Yeah. And I love, if I can feel whatever degree safer out there, I'll take it every single time. If a binding is going to reduce the risk of injury, I don't even care by what margin or what percentage. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I think anything like that just makes you feel more confident and more comfortable as a skier.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, and neither of us had our skis fall off or anything like that, so.
No pre-releasing issues. I think you're going to see far fewer pre-releases out of that binding because of that elastic travel.
Yep.
So that's another thing. Like, people talk about ACL tears a lot. People don't talk about pre-releasing and like breaking your collarbone nearly as much.
Right.
But those things can happen too. Pre-releases can be just as dangerous.
Right.
So reduce the risk of knee injury and also reduce the risk of a pre-release. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's basically like other than like your helmet, it's like the only piece of safety gear
that you can like increase.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they're taking that approach.
Yeah. And another thing that's cool is like the binding world can feel kind of stagnant. I mean, we
Yeah.
get a lot of
Yeah.
innovation in like the touring world right now. You know, shifts and Duke PTs and stuff like that, and that was always really exciting. Like, oh, look at this thing! Like, look at all the mechanisms that make
Right.
this work. For just an alpine binding, it feels pretty rare to get something as like, I don't know if earth-shattering or groundbreaking is the right word, but
No,
it feels pretty groundbreaking.
it's also like accessible. You know, like you can get it on a variety of skis.
Right.
And now with the attack version of this heel, like now you can basically put it on anything.
Right.
You know, so I think that that's pretty nice too, is that there's a wide approach to it.
Right. Maybe like the one downside to it for certain applications is stand height.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'll be really interested to see the progression over the next decade, 20 years, who knows. But I don't see a huge reason why you couldn't reapply this technology with a lower stand height. I
Yeah.
think there are some challenges to it, but 20 years should suffice for
Right.
enough time to figure that out.
But I like being this high on these skis.
Correct, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be as quick to take the attack version of the Protector and put
Yeah.
it on like a Core 111.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really even played around with them. I don't know what even what it looks like.
It's the same stand height.
Yeah.
I think that's really the only thing that I'm focusing
Yeah.
on. It's very similar. It's just a different toe.
Right.
So overall, I think these are awesome.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun to kind of point out like some things that maybe someday we'll get like a Protector binding with like an 18 millimeter stand height.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, totally.
But in the meantime, I think there's a ton to like here. Like Bob said, I love that you can get it on a vast variety of skis and a vast variety of ability levels.
Yep.
Like it's not one of those things that's only beneficial for an expert.
Right.
Like it'll help everybody.
Yep.
So kudos to Tyrolia.
Right.
Well
Yeah.
done.
They did a good job with this.
Yep, you did a thing. So that's it. That was probably really long, but hopefully there was a lot of fun, interesting information in there.
Yep.
Anything that you think we missed, Bob?
Nope. I think we got it. We'll
'Kay.
probably someone will point out something we missed, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will address it when it gets to
What I
us.
love when people point out
Yep.
things that we miss or have follow-up questions. So let us know if you have any questions, either about the ski or the binding. Happy to talk more about them. I think I'm going to give these things a run through the Ski Bum race course this year.
Same.
Little small for turn radius, but
I don't care.
we're there for fun.
Yeah. I like being comfortable in the gates.
I don't I don't really mind if I lose a second or two
Yeah.
on my race time.
Yeah.
So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you out there on the hill.
Bye.